The Nature of Personal Reality, a Seth book by Jane Roberts, read by Martin John.
Session 654, April 9, 1973, 9:45 p.m. Monday. Good evening and dictation.
In your terms, practically speaking, probable events seem to make more sense when you think of them as latent future ones. The fact remains that there are probable past events that can still happen within your personal previous experience. A new event can literally be born in the past now. On a grand scale, this rarely occurs in such a way that you perceive it, and you had better emphasize that whole last part. A new belief in the present, however, can cause changes in the past on a neuronal level. You must understand that basically time is simultaneous. Present beliefs can indeed alter the past. In some cases of healing, in the spontaneous disappearance of cancer, for instance, or of any other disease, certain alterations are made that affect cellular memory, genetic codes, or neuronal patterns in the past. In such instances there is, as easily as I can explain it, a reaching into deep biological structures as they existed at one time. At that point, the probabilities are altered and the condition erased in your present, but also in your past. A sudden or intense belief in health can indeed reverse a disease, but in a very practical way, it is a reversal in terms of time. New memories are inserted in place of the old ones, as far as cells are concerned under such conditions. This kind of therapy happens quite frequently on a spontaneous basis when people rid themselves of diseases that they do not even know they possess. Learning is not simply passed from living tissue to living tissue. This your biologists have discovered, but it is also passed on through the body's present corporal reality, sometimes entirely changing the messages to past cells that in your terms no longer exist. In somewhat the same way, a strong belief in a particular ability generated in the present will reach into the past and affect whatever changes would have had to occur there in order
To now make
the ability apparent. This is the reason for the results of some experiments being conducted abroad in which accelerated learning takes place. When under hypnosis or otherwise a present individual is convinced that he or she is, for example, a great painter or a linguist, the present belief activates latent abilities within each person. The biological structure as it existed in the past is therefore affected. Experience is built into the organism that it did not have before, in your terms. It is a sort of reprogramming. It is impossible, of course, for you to examine cellular structure now as it exists in the present and simultaneously as it existed in the past. Scientifically, you can only probe those effects that appear within your present. When you alter your beliefs today, you also program your past. As far as you are concerned, the present is your point of action, focus, and power. And from that point of violation, you form both your future and past. Realizing this, you will understand that you are not at the mercy of a past over which you have no control. While your present conscious beliefs dictate your current experience, And while your physical body wears its solidity only in present time to your senses, beneath this both the ever-changing elements of your body and your consciousness are relatively free in time. They exist in a multidimensionality with which rational consciousness is not yet equipped to deal. This is not meant to dilute the function or natural abilities of reasoning awareness, for its powers allow you to focus experience in a highly specific manner and to direct energy with great purposeful attention. In your terms, this action is in the process of automatically changing the nature of rational consciousness, which is, as you think of it, in a state of evolution. Your consciousness is not a thing that you possess. Your individuality is not a thing with limits. If you ask, what is my individuality in all of this, or which I am I, then you are automatically thinking of yourself as a psychological entity with definite boundaries that must be protected at all cost. You may say, I was born in a house on a certain street in a certain town, and no present belief to the contrary will change that fact. If, in the present, one past event can be altered within your
neuronal
structure, however, then basically no event is safe from such change. In your practical experience, tables remain tables, although physicists well know that physical appearance is in some ways a mirage. At your level of experience, many effects are accepted and used quite practically, as are your solid tables. You do not perceive the atoms or molecules that compose them. So in the same way, but in a different manner of speaking, events seem solid as tables do. Yet at other levels, this seeming solidity of events also breaks down. Which world, a sudden contemporary belief in illness will actually reach back into the past, affecting the organism at that level, and inserting into the past experience of the cells the initiation of those biological events that will then seem to give birth to a present disease. In the current pivoting of its experience, therefore, your conscious mind directs not only the present, but future and past experience of deep neurological events. Cellular memory can be changed at any point. Present beliefs can insert into the past new memory, both psychologically and physically. The future is in no way predetermined on basic levels. This does not mean that the future cannot be predicted sometimes, for in practical terms you will often continue with certain lines of probability which can be seen ahead of time. Such predictions can affect the probabilities, of course, and reinforce a present line of belief. Physicians often wonder whether they should tell terminal patients of their impending deaths. There is great controversy. In some cases, such a prediction can make death a fact, while its opposite can regenerate the patient's belief in his or her own ability to live. No man will die simply because a physician tells him he is going to, however. No one is so at the mercy of another's beliefs. Each individual, generally speaking, knows his challenges and overall programs, and the time of his death. But even such decisions can be altered at any time in your now. The entire body can be regenerated in a way that would be impossible to predict in usual medical terms. You rule your experiences from the focal point of your present, where your beliefs directly intercept with the body and the physical world on the one hand, and the invisible world from which you draw your energy and strength on the other. This applies to individuals, societies, races and nations, and to sociological, biological, and psychic activities. In daily practical experience, try to concentrate for a while upon seemingly subordinate abilities, ones that you think of as latent. If you do so consistently, using your imagination and will, then those abilities will become prominent in your present. The current beliefs will reprogram and alter past experience. It is not simply that past, forgotten, unconsciously perceived events will be put together in a new way and organized under a new heading, but that in that past, now not perceivable, the entire bodily response to seemingly past events will change. Your desire or belief will literally be reaching back into time, teaching the nerves new tricks. Definite reorganization in that past will occur in your present, allowing you to behave in entirely new fashions. Learned behavior, therefore, alters not only present and future, but also past conduct. Your power as a rational consciousness focused in the present provides you with opportunities for creativity that you are but vaguely learning to understand. As you do learn, you will automatically begin to appreciate the multidimensional nature of not only your own species, but of others as well. The moment, as you think of it, then, is the creative framework through which you, the non-physical self, constantly form corporal reality, and through that window into earthly existence you form both its future and its past. In purely physical terms, what you think of as consciousness of the self arises from a certain peak of intensity reached by the Gestalt consciousness of the atoms and molecules, and cells and organs that compose the body. The particularly physical-oriented self that you know has its reality in that context. But even in physical terms, its reality is more than any analysis of its entirety would show. It then directs the activity of the body and is to that extent dependent upon neurological activity. The psychic structure of consciousness that organizes that bodily gestalt is, however, not dependent upon it. And so the you that you experience is only a portion of this greater identity. During certain stages in sleep states, you short-circuit the neurological structures and perceive experiences of a multidimensional nature that you then attempt to translate as best you can into stimuli that can be physically assimilated. Hence you often convert these into symbolic images that can be understood and to some extent reacted to by your bodily structure. Many times such constructions are used as inner visual patterns. For example, visually they often bear a similarity to the inner architecture of the cells and to the planets. Your dream images are biologically structured then. The experiences behind them bring you in contact with the deepest portions of your non-physical reality, and it is the unconscious who translates these for you into recognizable images and forms. In the same way, your unconscious also transforms for you from an otherwise undifferentiated maze of reality, fields of activation into recognizable objects and events in your daily life. You are now rooted in your creaturehood, graced to perceive through your body a unique living experience. So when I mention techniques that will allow you to perceive other fields of reality besides your own, I want you to realize that these should be used to enhance your enjoyment of that creaturehood and to enrich your sensual as well as spiritual expression. In the brilliance of your physical being, both are intertwined. End of dictation.
Peace, light, and love. Aloha.